Hey everybody, this is Kathy Crowder's Mountain, North Carolina. Another one of those how-to series that won't be very long, I promise. But I just wanted to touch base with you a little bit about choosing your paint. Now, if you've ever painted before, you know that the sheen matters if you're painting in an area that's got a lot of moisture, or if it's a dry area, you could get by with flat or satin in your house. But painting a barn quilt, it's almost the same thing. You got to think about where you're going to hang this barn quilt. It's going to be out in the weather. You may want to go with a semi-gloss or a high gloss because they help keep moisture out of your wood and out of the paint as well. And then that's just extra added protection for you because you're going to seal it. Some people don't. Some people say that, well, that's enough. It's a good exterior semi-gloss and I don't need to seal it, and it's worked out good for them. What I can do is just tell you the way I do it and just kind of give you some tips and things that I've learned along the way. Now, some of my favorite paint is Valspar. I just got a whole mixture of it. I like Valspar, this Season Flex. I like the Season Flex or Season Plus. I like the Glidden exterior, did a good job for me. The Valspar Duramax has always done a good job. It's got the primer. This has got paint and primer in it as well. And then Behr has paint and primer in it, and it's exterior semi-gloss enamel. It just works. I love it. I love all of these. And I even went down to my local hardware store, and I think that's where I got this Glidden, but I got something called Easy Care. It's ultra premium. You remember when you couldn't hardly get paint back in the pandemic, and I needed some to finish a barn quilt that I was painting for a lady. So I went down there and they got it for me. And you know I picked out the cans that looked better than the rest of them, don't you? Because all my cans don't look this clean back there. But I picked out the ones that I thought you could read. Now that's what I use. I only use exterior, and I buy it in these quarts. And it's worked out good for me, and it lasts and lasts and lasts. So I have not had any, I don't paint, I don't paint to make a living at it. I just play. So I don't need a gallon. But a lot of folks who paint these for, to make their living or their livelihood, they buy gallons of paint and use them up. So it's just according to how many barn quilts you're painting. But I'll tell you what I did when I first got started. When I first got started, I went to Lowe's, and they told me that their paint was not exterior. And it says here, and you can tell I used them because I've got sample jars back there that I washed out. But it says this product is intended for sampling only. So, it kind of worried me, but I thought, well, I'm going to seal it. And then the Behr, though, at Home Depot says interior and exterior. Now, the folks at Lowe's told me that their sample paint is not exterior. So if you're looking for exterior, you probably have to go to Home Depot and get the Behr or your local hardware store. Sherwin-Williams may have exterior. I don't know. As far as I know, I don't have any of that sample back there, sample jar. But anyway, here's another thing that I want to say before I forget it. Some folks have said, and I can't remember if I've tried it or not, to tell you the truth. Some folks have said that they use this interior because they put the sealer on it, and it seals it up. That makes sense to me, and people have, I've read comments and people have said, well, it works fine that way. But my thing is, if I'm painting for myself, and I did when I first got started, I had no intention of ever selling any barn quilts. But I do now, because I got addicted to painting them and I needed to get rid of them. But anyway, I used those because I wasn't worried about it. I just painted nothing if they didn't work. But I have some that's been up 3 years, and I used a sample. And I can tell the paint's faded a little bit. But unless you're just watching it every day, you're not going to notice that. But I bet you if I put it up against one that's freshly painted, you would see it. My issue's been picking the wrong kind of wood. And now I'm on the right track. In the last year and a half or so, I'm using MDO, and that's all. So, or that aluminum composite, you could use that too. But anyway, here's another Valspar color sample, and it does not say anything about exterior. But you just need to make your mind up about it. I'm going to tell you what I do, and then you decide. If you're just painting for yourself, buying a quart of paint that's $25 probably don't make a lot of sense, because you wouldn't use a thimbleful out of it. But if you're painting for your friends and family and that kind of thing, and you're going to end up using a lot, then I would go with that. It's cheaper to buy it by the quart, if in the long run, if you're going to use it. But it's not cheaper in the long run if you're not going to use it, if you're just going to set it on a shelf. I would try the exterior samples at Home Depot. Now, Lowe's could have changed by now. I hadn't asked in a long time. So you just double check with your supplier, wherever you get it from. All right, now, another thing I wanted to talk to you about was, again, the sheen. If you get flat or semi-gloss, high gloss, you need to realize that semi-gloss or the high gloss is going to give more definition to your barn quilt. Like, we're going to paint this, and it will give us more definition in here around our small places that we're painting if we use the semi-gloss or the high gloss. So that just makes a difference. You know, it gives it more dimension. You can tell the difference if you use flat, which there's nothing wrong with that, or if you use the semi-gloss or high gloss, you can tell the difference in your painting. So just be mindful of that. And then other people have talked about whether they mix their paint. I mix mine all the time. Especially if it's the same brand and same sheen. Now, I wouldn't mix it if it was different sheens, but over the years, I've only bought semi-gloss when I can get a hold of it, and so I don't have to worry about that. But I also try to stick with the same brand if I'm going to mix my paint. But I mix them all the time. But here's the trick. If you're going to mix paint, you better mix too much, because you'll never get it mixed the same shade again. If you mix in a little bitty tiny bit, you're going to be in trouble. So mix enough. Even if you had to store it in some kind of little cup. This is what I do. Let me show you these. Let me get that other little cup. You see these little condiment cups? You know, if I mix paint, I try to mix it in these. This one is just like 5.5 ounces, and I got the lid to go on it. And it will last a long time in there. And I don't have to worry about, I don't throw them away until I've got that barn quilt sealed up and out the door. Because, well, I may use it again on another one if I got enough left. But that's scary. But I may see a little nick or a little place that I should have touched up and I didn't, and I'm not going to throw it away until I know it's right and out the door. And I just keep it. And my grandkid comes over, grandchildren, I've got a bunch of them. If they come over and they want to paint, I'll give them little mixed up things. You know, if they don't care what color they're using, they're little, they'll just use whatever. But anyway, well, I have a few that's little, I'll put it that way. I wanted to tell you about that. Now, let me tell you how I store my paint. I think we're into about 11 minutes here, and this won't take but just a second, but I want to show you the bottles that I use, how I store it. Let me tell you about these right quick. I forgot these. This is acrylic paint. Like if you're painting on canvas, this is Deco Art Metallics, and this is the Craft Smart Outdoor. Now it's craft paint, and I don't use that for my barn quilts. Other people have, and I think if you were going to keep it inside, I don't see any reason you couldn't do that. I mean, it's inside, right? So you don't have to worry about it getting wet. And these colors are just, I used to do the acrylic pour, and I loved it, but I'm telling you, it's a mess. I don't know if I can get this. I want you to look at this. Couldn't you just drink it? It is beautiful paint. I really wish that they would make exterior paint metallic. Wouldn't that be something? Everybody would have this gold in their barn quilts. Would that not be beautiful? The sun hitting it on the side of a house or a barn, and it just shine. But you can get all colors, you know, garnet. Oh, you should see the turquoise and the blue. It's just so pretty. Next time you go into a craft store, look at some of those metallic colors. But these are outdoor paint, and I use them to paint turtles and different things that I make from a garden. And I used them and all of this craft paint here for the acrylic pours, but I don't use them for my barn quilts. But again, if you're going to keep it inside, go for it. Okay. Now let me show you how I store my paint. Now, y'all probably seen me using these, and I'll just grab a couple of them over here. Just to show you if you've never seen any of my videos before. But I use these bottles, and they're from Lole Vefe, and I will try to put the link in the bottom in the description of this video. And if you say Kathy with a C, 10, you'll get 10% off your order if you want some. But anyway, they come 5 in a pack, and they're not that expensive really, and they'll last forever. But anyway, I wanted to show you how I use these when I get a new color. Let me get a stick over here. When I get a new color, and I thought I had a little trick. I saw it on Facebook or somewhere about putting a piece of painter's tape across here and then pouring, but I didn't. I'm not that coordinated, so I couldn't do it. So I just have to do it my way. But anyway, this color is pretty too, isn't it? It's called, Tanager. Tanager, not manager, but Tanager. All right, now got that in here. And I use these cheap paper cups that you can get at the dollar store or anywhere else. It's cheap, because I won't throw it away. And I just use that and pour it in. Now I had funnels, and you say, why are you not using a funnel? Well, I'll tell you why. Because most of the time I'm pouring a couple of them at a time. I hardly ever just go by 1 quart. I'll wait till I just about run out of a couple of them, and then I'll just go by maybe 2 and 3, 4 at a time. And these cups just seem like they're a lot less trouble. I know people say, well, you're putting them in the landfill, but they're paper. They're paper. They're biodegradable. I'll make sure of that. And even when I was doing acrylic pouring, I used plastic cups, but I would wash them and wash them. I'd wash them to death before I got rid of them. Anyway, and with scraping it out this way, I don't waste paint. I don't leave it in here. You see there? And paper towel. And I just make sure I didn't get any on the sides. And there you go. See? Now, I went ahead because I had so many different colors, and I had a coupon or whatever. But anyway, I bought a label maker. So I went ahead and I make 2 when I make them, because I set my can on the shelf back there, and you know, I don't have that much room, and I want to be able to see real quickly. I want to be able to see what color that is in that can. So see, I just say Tanager, semi-gloss, and that V is for Valspar. And that's all I put on here. And I stick it on like that, so when it's sitting on a shelf, I can see it real quick. But I also put it on here. And you could put this label, if you're making a label. You can put it wherever you want it, but I like it up at the top because of my shelf over there. It's that wire basket looking stuff, and if it's down here, well, you can't see what I'm talking about. If it's down here, you won't be able to see it as good. So that's how I store my paint. And I just wanted to let y'all know that. And I'll put I use puppy pads so I don't make a mess everywhere too. But anyway, I wanted you to see how I store my paint too before I got off of here. And if you're looking for a particular color, you know, just go into those Lowe's or Home Depot, your local hardware store, Walmart, somewhere that sells paint, and just pick you up some color palettes and bring them home and lay them out. Think about what colors you want. And if you need to, you know, like a dahlia that I made, if I wanted to make a dahlia in this color, I don't have 5 or 6 of this. I would just add a little white to it and lighten it up. Or a little black that would darken it up. So, just have fun. And I will see y'all in the next video. Look for the link below to get 10% off these bottles.